let's buy something, let's buy in this area or whatever the areas that they love and feels got everything that you said it should have. What are the incentives or what assistance is there out there, particularly anything that might have a short life, if people are thinking about it, that's available to help them, go forward, and how do they actually get a hold of this?
Key things. First one, stamp duty. Okay, so it's a big cost, and whenever you buy a property, there's a transaction fee, which is stamp duty, which the government takes. Right now, there's some really good incentives, whether you're an investor, which those incentives were taken away a few years ago. Those incentives are back. So as a person buying, even if you owned a previous property, you can get a 50% reduction on your stamp duty on the basis you're buying something new, i.e. what we've got over here. So we're selling something new, you get a 50% reduction. If you're a first homeowner, there's certain thresholds, and we can go through that to you. We're happy to go through all those details. You could end up paying no stamp duty. So stamp duty is a huge saving. So that's one of the key things that you're going to get.
So I just want to give you some numbers because Greg's glossed over it, I think, and we're talking big dollars here. Let's say we're talking the average price, $700,000, for example. So stamp duty is 5.5%, okay? So that's $38,500, right? That's not the same as the door fee you pay to get into your favorite nightclub, or, the entree at your favorite restaurant. That is a big chunk of money. I mean, that's more than half of a deposit.
So James, that's why I was saying it's such a crew. That's the one I first started. It was whether you're an investor, whether you're a first homeowner, that's a massive saving getting into an area like this where you're buying something.
So at that 50% off, you're talking almost $20,000.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, that is a lot. That's a new car you can get as well.
And when you're talking about saving for your deposit, that actually really reduces that level because you've now got that saving.
Okay, and that's available to anyone.
Anyone.
To get 50% off the stamp duty, they
On
just
the
have to buy in
it's got to
the
be
suburb
new.
of Melbourne.
Correct.
And brand new.
And brand new.
Okay.
Correct.
So never lived in before.
So not somewhere as we call whoop whoop. There. Okay.
Got it.
And then you get it.
All right.
Now, if you're a first homeowner as well, you can get a grant. So there's a $10,000 grant. So in the top of this is another 10 grand that the state government offers to buy into a new building as well.
Okay. So you could save 20 grand, get 10 grand. So far you've got us 30 grand.
30 grand.
All right. What else you got in the kitty for us?
So we've talked about also saving for a deposit. There's a few other incentives, for instance, they're what they call the first home buyers deposit scheme. So what that literally does, all you need, and there's certain criteria, and I won't get into, not a lot, long as you're an Australian, even though I speak funny, I'm an Australian, but you've got to be an Australian, and there's certain other criteria. You can buy a house with as little as 5% deposit, and the government stands as surety, so there's no home mortgage insurance to assist you getting into a new property.
Okay. So that's effectively, for any of our first home buyers on the line that might be struggling to save a deposit or thinking that, how do I get there earlier?
Yep.
As I mentioned at the start, this is where we can leverage other people's money. Yes. And who better than the government's money?
The government money.
I'll tell you what, you don't have to be, an anti-government person like someone that we know to know that that's a good thing to be able to use other people's money, particularly the government money. So that's a great scheme. All right, what else you got?
The other one is a similar scheme, but it's if you've already owned a home.
Yep.
It's for single parents, and I'm pleased that it's male and female. So whether you're a single parent, you can actually get into by as little as a 2% deposit. So the government again puts in the guarantor for that balance of that deposit that's required to get into that home.
Okay. So that's really, I guess, those two schemes are really thinking about that sort of cohort of people that perhaps might be thinking home ownership is out of their reach and that it's never going to happen.
Yep.
And I think that's great that we can actually have something that that supports those people and helps them get in, at the ground level.
And then the third one is what they call the first home super saver scheme. So what is it? Where you've made voluntary, I won't get into too deep, but voluntary contributions to your super, you are allowed to draw with certain limits that money back to use it to buy into a property.
Okay. So if we add all these up, we're at tens, we're potentially hitting $100,000 worth of savings or incentives that are out there and available.
To get something new,
something
that's in the great location, and we encourage you to have a look at it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the key takeaway from this for me definitely is that if you think you're not ready yet, or you think you can't afford it, there is a ton of help out there, financial and obviously non-financial, but particularly the things Greg's gone through that, it's really worth understanding them, because that can help you weigh up your decision as to where you are in timing. There are also some of the intangibles you've got to think about when you're thinking in terms of location. It doesn't mean that you should just pick a particular location because of the incentives, because often, the incentives are perhaps not worth going to a particular area, but in some instances, they really turbocharge and add where you're going. So, like Greg said, to be able to be in a location like this and save half the stamp duty, 20, 30, 40 grand is a big amount that you can save.
And for instance, just recently, I was talking to one of our first homeowners this morning that's looking at that 5% sort of thing.
Yep.
In-house, we can assist you, because you've got to do that through a bank. So you come and talk to us. We've got that. We have a brokerage as well that can help you and go through all the different and assist you with getting those sort of loans.
All right, great.
Okay.
Greg, anything else you want to share with them?
I'm done.
Any final? You're done? All right. Thank you, my friend. That was good. So hopefully everyone, you really enjoyed that. Again, this is just part of our new format that we're trying to get into, and really trying to add some value to you, and give you a bit more, targeted insight into some of these areas.